All right, call this meeting to order on June 24th at 4:02 PM. Mr. Mascon will not be able to be here today as he has a work engagement he has to take care of. Can we get roll call, please?
Ernesto Mora.
Eric Sahakian.
Jackie Erdrich.
Yolanda McCauley.
William Mays.
Kai Nguyen.
Cesar Ortiz.
Do we have any public comments at this time?
No.
All right. Let's go on with the facilities project status and update.
So I'm gonna have out this PowerPoint and Mr. Ernesto Mora is gonna give you an update on some of these summer projects that's going on right now. And where we're at with the summer projects.
Thank you.
Ernesto, you have the school there? So for High Desert School, we're still waiting for the roof replacement estimates. We got one more that we're waiting on. For Vasquez High School, we just received the actual quote for the shade structures.
Excuse me.
Okay, I could share.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we just received it, we did the job walk, and it came in at $168,000.
Good.
And the good thing is, it doesn't require, Department of State architects and
Or
ESA review, since it's under the, limit of the sheet structure.
that's is that where we're looking to be pretty close budget wise?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, at Meadowlark Elementary, we completed the painting of the bungalows. At the district office, we completed the replacement of the carpets. District office, we completed the installation of the sink in the cafeteria. District office, we completed the replacement of the locks of the doors. We replaced the actual, the door handles as well, to
Okay.
make them safer. And also the kindergarten rooms, we got the walkie-talkies for them. The staff lounge has been painted along with the restrooms and the transportation areas. We are still pending on the PA system, the furniture, and the data drops, and the laser printers.
Okay.
That's what we have for
You,
the summer.
you got a lot done so far though. Good job.
Thank you.
Not a great work. Just really quick just to interject, PA systems, switches, indoors, outdoor speakers, it's a hefty cost. I'm almost completed a application for a Department of Justice grant. I just shared it with Kai. That's due on the 26th, this Thursday. That DOJ grant would if we are awarded, it would supply us with an option to purchase materials, equipment that enhances safety on campuses, so we
Right.
could then budget for the PA system if we are awarded that. We should find out maybe late summer or late fall.
Okay.
That'd be a huge savings. Thank you, Dr. Falcon.
Back to the shape, is this what we're doing?
Yes,
Okay, so it's gonna be more like an umbrella.
basically, we're gonna put a lot of them around the actual quad
Okay.
area, so we can have a lot more shades. Basically, that's the only way we could do it without having DSA.
Okay, so they're 10 by 10,
Yes.
and how many total are we doing?
16,
Okay, so,
yep, 16 10 by 10s.
okay.
They're $7,000 a piece.
Yeah. Looks good. That's all we got for that?
Yep, that's all I have for summer projects.
Okay. Cost saving measures,
So, we're looking at stabilization plan, and we looked at, certificate employees where
there are some employees that resigned, retired, and they were at the higher pay scale, and now we're bringing new employees at a different pay scale. For example, the kindergarten, and thank you, Jackie, for compiling this and sharing this with me, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, the kindergarten, one of the teachers resigned. And we're gonna start a new employee out at $65,000, so we're technically saving about 33,000. A first grade teacher as well at Medlar. She's also resigned and, gonna be saving 33, a sixth grade at High Desert. That particular teacher has been here for over 30 years and we're gonna bring in a new teacher that will save the district about $37,500. Seventh, eighth grade social science, a small savings, right? And the new teacher has already signed the contract, so that'll be a saving of 5,000, seventh, eighth grade math. From high end of 98,000 to 65,000, so that's a $33,000 saving. As you can see here, in essence, in summary, we're gonna save close to $200,000. So that's a huge plus for the district. And then for classified, we're looking at not rehiring, not refilling the behavioral assistant. That is a 5.75 hour employee. That will save us about 35,000, as well as an instructional aide. It's a 3.75 hour instructional aide, so it's a saving of $13,000. So we're looking at about close to $50,000 in savings. So the next one we're looking at, which is, for the last few years, we've been paying the PAR, the Public Agency Retirement System, where there was an incentive plan a few years back before our time, where employees that sign a irrevocable letter of resignation retirement, they get a stipend, a retirement package where the district will pay the employee at a certain rate through the PARs, and we no longer will have to pay that, so that's a savings about $111,000. So we've got some savings there. In addition to that, right, I mean, with what Ernesto was saying in regards to all the facilities upgrade, modernizations, the sheet structure, classroom furniture. So we're looking at some savings here as well. Instead of using general fund, we're looking at using deferred maintenance fund 14 for the classroom furnitures, landscaping of what was done at Metal Art, saving of 130,000. So, and then obviously the developer fees is going to be paying for the shade structure at Vasquez High School, and carpet installations at here for the 2 classrooms for the kindergarten. You're gonna use developer fees for that as well. And then obviously the kitchen infrastructure is $7,000. We'll use the kitchen infrastructure grant for that, but we just recently placed the sinks in the cafeteria. Right, so there's some savings there. Do you have any questions? Anyone has any questions in regards to this right now? Mr. Mays? And then,
The classroom furniture, what is that gonna be consisting of?
so that one, so we're gonna be putting a kindergarten
This
classroom
one.
right here,
For little
Right.
hours.
little house, yeah.
Okay.
And then also for the SPED classroom as well.
Okay.
Alright, and then, hopefully, another classroom, we don't know yet, but we're just giving us a ballpark.
Perfect.
So in terms of other reductions, we wanna get the community's input in terms of what other avenues that we can look at where we can make reductions, whether it's travel and conferences, delaying purchase of textbook adoption. I'm throwing things out there,
Mhm.
but if the committee here wants to look at what other options we can look at in terms of reductions.
And this is a live document, so we'll just keep populating
Right.
this as we move forward as a subcommittee. Yeah, my team and I, cabinet, when we meet every Tuesday, you know, we're constantly taking a look at mitigating factors as far as reducing the deficit for the district. And so any and all ideas are welcome. So.
Yeah. And, anything you can think of right now? So, you know, a possibility of, travel, conference, right, as an option. And then also,
We're, you know, there's always been discussion of transportation.
Right,
And you know, it's just a point of discussion only in terms of transportation when it comes to our students with disabilities as a mandate. So that's non-negotiable but when it comes to our general education students, it's really a courtesy to our community, and I know it's a significant factor when it comes to our small district as far as transportation. But we're constantly just throwing ideas out there.
wasn't it Cascade that just cut busing?
There's quite a few districts. There are some districts that even charge, again, it's not something that is on the plan.
Right,
Some districts charge student athletes a fee for transportation to games. So, you know, districts are taking a look at any and all measures to mitigate deficit spending. But in terms of, you know, any ideas that staff has, community has, committee has, we're always open to that. And we're also looking at how to generate revenue, which goes into the next slide.
right.
That Kai has prepared.
yeah, thank you, Dr. Slassen. And, yeah, we looked at, how we can generate revenues, ongoing sustaining revenue, not just one-time revenues like for donations. And certainly those will help out, but we need to look at ongoing sustaining revenues that will come into our district that will have a lasting impact. So we look, obviously, you know, we sound like a broken record here, our average day attendance, we were at 90%. We were looking at possibly exploring Saturday school or independent studies. So that those are the options that we can look at. And also, how we can bring students into the classrooms if they have chronic absenteeism. And obviously with chronic absenteeism, they can sign up with independent studies. There, I know that Dr. Chamberlain has looked at independent studies, whether it's short-term, long-term, where if the students is absent for a couple of days, then they would work with the teachers to get the homework assignments, complete the homework assignment, and submit it, upload it into a Google form platform where they can submit their homework assignment. Then the attendance clerk will review the homework assignment to make sure, obviously the teacher will have to sign off on it, or the principal will have to sign off on it, and then it will be reviewed by the attendance clerk, and the attendance clerk can mark that student as present for those days that the students were absent. These are just examples, and obviously Saturday school like what we discussed in cabinet, where we make it more engaging for students to attend Saturday schools. And, you know, and then obviously the high school, a good way is for independent studies, because I don't know what the channel would be for Saturday, so.
You know, if we have a student who is absent during the week, you know, there'll be an option for Saturday school, not only to recover the instructional time that was lost, but the ADA piece as well for the school district.
Right.
The independent study component with the updated board policy that was just recently approved and adopted by the board. Well, throughout the state, really, there's an option for schools to invoke the 1-day independent study. And that way, you know, we don't get deemed necessarily for a student being out for that 1 day. At the same time, student could recover the work, and then the district could recover the ADA as well. So these are components that we're looking at. The independent study piece, the electronic contract, as well as the implementation started, I want to say maybe 3-4 weeks tail end of this past academic calendar. So that's well underway. Saturday school's being explored, and a proposal Dr. Chamberlain's working on the next couple of weeks. So we're hoping to get that off the ground in the fall. And then in addition, the district virtual academy at Celis. I know that we have many students that are no longer in our matriculation, but are being homeschooled within our community of Acton and Dulce. And so we've done a significant push, a deliberate push for marketing. So thank you, Yolanda, for taking the Celis information and really pushing it out, not only within our communities, but our neighboring communities. And seeing, what kind of traction we'll build in terms of that opportunity for Celis, and that would also increase our enrollment, hence our revenue generation.
All right.
Any other ideas in regards, thank you, Chuck, so I think,
Of course,
the committee, any other ideas on how we can generate sustained ongoing revenues?
we need 3 at least from each of you.
Right,
At this
exactly.
moment.
So for the Saturday school option, I think it'd be good to have like an incentive in place. Like for example, if they get like perfect attendance, right? That if they're absent, they can make up that day and it'll take away from their absences. that
Absolutely.
come towards perfect attendance, so they can still get whatever prize that is.
Mhm. Yeah.
That'll make them want to go
Mhm.
to clear that up.
Right, they're not deemed, but that recognition will still
Yeah,
be in
because
place
if
to
there's
make it up.
nothing that, they get out of it, they probably won't.
Sure.
So
Needs
that's
to be
Saturday.
incentives, engaging.
That Saturday school kind of look like summer schools where it's a sales-based and it would be,
Well,
you know,
So when I was a principal and we had Saturday school,
right,
it was like an hour of math, an hour of language arts,
okay,
and then the rest of it was science, art, physical education,
okay,
but all fun activities so that the kids would want to come.
right,
Sometimes depending on who the teacher was, I mentioned it today in cabinet. They were like, is so-and-so going to be here for Saturday school? Yes, then they're signing up because of the art that they know that they're gonna get to do.
right,
So it made it fun. And as a principal, depending on what our theme was for that Saturday, I would have treats for the kids. And so, it was stuff that wasn't, it wasn't expensive or anything like that, but it made it fun for the kids. So they wanted to come. So it also helped that we used to compete against each other, the principals at the different cities. So it was a challenge to see if we could beat Lake Los Angeles Elementary. They were usually number 1. So it was like, who can bring more kids in? But it depended on making it fun. The sites that didn't do the fun stuff had very, very little turn up.
right.
Okay. What about charging for parking spaces at the high school? What
So
they used to
they're-
do back in the days when
they're
they
doing-
first started. Yeah.
From what I heard,
They're doing that
they're
already?
I
High
heard
school?
that,
I
that,
have
that's,
to,
It's
verify
called
that.
a parking permit.
Mm.
So-
You have those.
yeah, I heard one of the classes was planning on doing that, so I don't know if that's
Mhm.
something that,
We could check with Dr. Smith.
yeah.
I
That's
think that
creative.
the high school district charges for you to ride the bus.
To ride
Oh,
the bus?
to ride-
Yes, to ride the bus, the high school district charges.
Well, we
I
used
think
to
it's either
charge,
50 or 100 a semester is what they charge, which if it, gas wise and everything, it ends up being less money than having to drive the kids back and forth and the time and everything. So most parents are willing to do that. But I know the high school does charge.
Do we not charge now?
No,
We used to charge.
Use charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just before COVID, we used to charge.
Yeah, there's certain people that are still paying for it if they don't qualify for
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
transportation. But
but we have a good percentage of free reduced.
Yes.
Wasn't much though.
No, it never is that much, but
It's-
it's something,
I remember first year we were here,
Mhm.
like my kids had a bus pass the first time.
And-
I didn't pay for it.
I'm sorry, and to piggyback on what Caesar brought up about the Saturday school, I agree, but sometimes it's not about sometimes the Saturday school is for those kids that need to come back and go to school. For either truancies or anything like that. It does help, and I used to do it at the high school. that we would call the parents and they would end up making sure the kids would come, because then that would take it off their grades. And then especially your juniors, they want those off because they don't want it on their transcripts. So those were incentives, and the parents were always very obliging
Mhm.
to get those off. Also, and I don't know if we do that now, I guess I wouldn't know, but if you're absent and it's an unexcused absence, you don't get to make up work in your classroom. So those are for other kids that are not at school. We might want to do that again, because kids do come to school because they do have to get their grades up. And I know Carrie Owens was, if you had an unexcused absence, you didn't get an opportunity to do that work, so it was an F for the day. So I don't know if that's something we're looking to do. It's not really penalizing them, it's just, they have to be at school, they have to be there to learn, so. If they don't get the work,
Good point. And that.
it worked for us, I mean.
Implemented at best case at all. And then also, is there possibility, and something for Dr. Smith to ask is whether. If it's something that's already in place or not, like if a student's missed so many days, then that student shouldn't be allowed to play athletics or going to the prom.
There's usually some sort of
It's a- it's a-
contract, yeah.
There is.
There's usually for the sports, and you have to maintain a certain grade point average and all
You
that.
have to have a 2.0.
And,
2.0.
Yeah.
2.0.
and end of the year activities, right?
Okay.
If there's some disciplinary concerns or there's, a number of truancies,
Mhm.
and so forth, so on, then we might, those activities might be revoked.
I will say this, if we were to get the coaches involved, because I know that my son in high school, well, it was baseball season because that was his sport, that was his thing. That kid didn't miss a class, didn't miss a homework assignment. You could go on there and the coach would say, pull up your grades. Show me your grades.
Right.
And he would do actually a longer practice,
Mhm.
and the first hour to hour and a half was study hall. Sit down, do your homework.
The football team does check grades.
Okay, good,
I think they
do
all
a-
have to.
Yeah,
'Cause
they
if
do
they-
do a study hall.
good,
Mhm.
good. So
So-
that helps with the kids.
Yeah,
It's a highlight.
yeah, they're making sure. that-
Yeah, and if you missed any day, you didn't get to practice. If you missed a practice, you didn't play.
Mhm.
The
And you don't
next-
want to let your teammates down either.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, yeah,
They do watch each other.
Yeah.
They do.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was a little tougher back in the day. I mean, teachers were a little hard. I mean, I don't know how they are now. I'm sorry, I don't have kids at school. So, but back in the day, you didn't miss a lot of school because those teachers were, I mean, you got Fs and they didn't want those. So
All for the coaches, right?
coaches and teachers,
Absolutely.
all of them.
And that is a
Yeah.
very good point.
It'll be rough for a little bit, but they'll get used to it. Yeah.
It's baseball.
Mhm.
It's an effort by all, sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, we can, with Upsellers, we have a virtual camera, we can attract homeschool students with kind of, well, I think that'd be phenomenal, what Dr. Spaulding mentioned. But, other avenues in generating revenues, I'll move on here, but, we can look at partial tax. We can also look at,
Where do we have that?
it's just for discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
These are
It's
just
not,
examples.
it's not something that.
Where's that coming from?
What?
General ideas that districts look into.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Where do you get
Nothing that's, anyone to have a.
No. No.
You're the one that brought it up. It's gonna be.
All right,
Yeah, we could end there.
any questions, anybody? Question? All right. Move on to facility survey results.
So yes, thank you to the subcommittee for helping to kind of funnel the questions down for the facility survey. This was pushed out maybe 6 weeks ago. And then what I'm gonna go ahead and pass out are the survey results. And the surveys, thank you to IT as well for helping me push this out to our community of students, staff, and parents. and what you'll see in the survey results. And for those who are watching, hi, Ms. Costin. And those who will be watching, because we upload these to our website, the subcommittee meetings. Questions such as how would you rate the condition of the buildings at your school, school appearance, condition of classrooms, cafeteria, the athletic facilities or grounds, drop-off pickup area, classroom renovations, campus security, and outdoor seating for students. And what you'll see in terms of the responses from the Google Analytics, blue is of course good. So we received 80 responses in total, which is pretty good for a small size district. The majority are positive in terms of responses. And then fair would be the next category that scored high. And then the one section, it would be page 3 of your copy, upgrade classrooms and other learning environments. It was kind of a little bit of a differential. They broke it down by no opinion and low priority and high priority. But again, that fared out pretty well. And then as you go through that, there was a section on the survey itself for open-ended comments. And then I have the comments here for you to take a look at. We appreciate everybody's feedback and the time that everybody took to actually provide a comment. And the comment section was optional on the survey itself. There's quite a few sections of the comments that either staff is aware, staff meaning facilities and maintenance, things that have been addressed, or things or items that are in progress of being addressed. Such as let's say a portable at Meadowlark, in terms of a concern that was brought up as far as let's say air quality, or a possible leak in the portable that's already been addressed and assessed. There was a comment about having a need for an active shooter plan at each of the sites. We have an active shooter plan at each of the sites. We had a tabletop activity that each of the sites independently went through with a consultant earlier in the year. Mirrors in the bathrooms are horrible. Another one. But this gives food for thought.
The covered area, VHF, that's being.
VHS, thank you, Mr. Mays, in terms of shade structure, that's already being addressed, as we heard earlier. There's a question about Little Owls, playground needing ADA compliance and so forth, so on. That's something that the team is already taking a look at to go ahead and support our students with disabilities. So there's quite a few comments here. Again, it's nice to see things are being addressed and certain things that need to be tackled at the same time. So we appreciate everybody's input and time that they actually took to complete the survey. We could go ahead and post the survey results. I'll share it with IT, so we can go ahead and post it, because it was a public survey.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
any questions? All right, future meeting agenda items, next steps, next meetings. I think we're. Good question.
Future agenda items. Well, there are some
Mhm.
pieces that we would like
So-
to
Right.
have as a, standing item moving forward,
right,
some of the mitigating factors for deficit spending. We'll just like to kind of keep adding to and having a discussion. So I could include that, as a future meeting agenda moving forward, that,
Right.
if that works.
Yeah,
for
that's fine.
Mr. Mays.
and then also continue with the
Yes.
roofs, I think we need to look into still, like we talked about it before, but the high desert tables, chairs that are older for the classrooms. Maybe if we have some cost savings, something from the roofs, we might be able to do something there. Well, maybe some painting there. So. I know there's things we can look at.
Mhm. I know summer's very busy.
Mhm.
But if at some point there could be an assessment of furniture.
Yeah.
Including High Desert and all the campuses in terms of, what's, outdated,
Right.
what's not repairable, what could be obsolete,
Yeah.
just having that kind of inventory.
And because if we have bad feet on tables and chairs and just putting new floors in, we're gonna damage the new floors before we. So. We need to look at that. Yeah. Another thing I was gonna say. Don't remember.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah, we will.
Any other agenda items?
No,
That's being worked on.
we addressed, stabilization plan,
Right.
continuation of a list that will grow in terms of generating revenue, cutting expenditures, and then the update on the modernization projects.
And I don't remember if it's on the first page, the painting at the metal arc, those, are we working on those?
Yeah,
That's, they're in process right now.
it's started already.
Yeah.
It's almost completed.
Okay, how's that
I
looking?
gotta do this, looks a lot better.
Okay.
We did a lot of repairs.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of repairs on
I gotta do the job, walk to the punch list.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
And just food for thought for a possible future agenda item, to have Dr. Chamberlain present on the learning continuity plan. I know that was presented at the Ed Subcommittee that
Right.
met earlier today. Again, when there's inclement weather, power outages.
Right.
And everything in between, just in terms of the instruction for students and how that would actually carry forward.
Sure.
So we wouldn't lose any time there.
Mhm.
I think it falls into both Ed committee
Right,
as well
'cause
as
there's
facilities and
Gonna be
finance.
money involved in that, so finance.
So is everyone okay with that as a
Yeah.
future agenda item, like just a kind of information item?
Right.
Sounds good.
And how are the roofing quotes coming? Are we below budget or are we,
One of them's below budget.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
I'll bring it next time to present it. Just received it 30 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good, so we can get those hopefully before something, rain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Okay.
And then next meeting date. I wasn't able to make Ed Subcommittee. I'm not sure if they're meeting in
August.
July, August.
August. So I.
Yeah, I know Lester said he wanted to do July, let's check with him,
Okay.
just to verify,
Sure.
if everybody can, obviously.
Yeah, so we could check in with Mr. Mascon and everybody here in terms of, July dates.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely August,
Yeah, for sure.
we're all back on board, but we'll check July dates
Okay,
and let everybody know.
all right, any other comments, questions? Then let's adjourn the meeting at 4:36.